So we did all the traffic that starts up here. We're going to start with.
It's for the live stream.
Oh.
I can't hear you right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't know I was have to do this. This is crazy. So if you look right here, we'll start with the colors. I'm a pretty simple guy, so we're going to go with primary colors today. And we'll start with the blue here. And so the blue is specifically starts at the parking garage over at the Kemah Boardwalk. And what we're going to see here is all the traffic that exits out of the out of the Boardwalk parking garage. They're going to actually come out and they're going to go contraflow on Bradford, and then they're going to turn and go west on Kip, and then they're going to be directed to go north on State Highway 146 over the Kemah/Seabrook Bridge. The parking lots that are over here on the west side as well of the, I'm going to call it the harbor or marina, those vehicles are actually going to exit out as well, but they're going to turn right here at 5th Street. And again, they're going to go west on 5th Street off of Texas, and they're going to turn and go north on 146 as well. They'll have cones, barriers, and things of nature that are going to help divide those lanes so folks aren't getting together and trading paint. But that specific area, all of that traffic is going to go north towards Seabrook. And what you'll see here in just a few minutes is that we're actually causing a bifurcation of our traffic, which causes traffic to go away from each other. Again, what we've done in the past years is the traffic has been a lot of stop and go because we're crisscrossing. And to help a more efficient and effective flow of traffic this year, like I said, we're gonna try this right here, and I'm hoping and I'm praying and keeping my fingers crossed that it goes really, really well. What you'll see over here on the east side of the Kemah Boardwalk area, all of these parking lots over here, they're actually going to come up and they're going to go with the normal flow of traffic along Kip, and then they're going to proceed to 7th. 7th, they're going to go west. Whenever they intersect up here at the State Highway 146, they're going to go south. And you can see with this red tape, it just continues on south. So anything that comes out of this area, they're only going to be able to go south. And again, just follow the red. It's like I said, try to keep it simple. No, that's specifically why I have the color codes up here, because again, it gives you direction of where that traffic's going to be able to go. And if you here as I finish in just a few minutes with this right, they're going to go all the way into like Baycliff, San Leon area, and they can turn at 646. They can turn at 517. We have folks that come from all over, so some of them are going to go on to Texas City where they live, or Galveston or wherever. But if you'll notice, what happens here is we're actually dividing the traffic. We're dividing it up basically into 4 specific sections, that no one specific area gets the bulk of the traffic. And again, last couple of years, we've kind of allowed traffic to go certain ways. And like I said, we feel that it's just created more congestion. So this year, we're going to give a little more direction. And like I said, cause our traffic to be divided up a little more evenly. Excuse me. So that is the traffic here. The residential area and some of our businesses back here. So anything south of 7th Street will only be able to go south. And then once they leave, they'll come down here to CN. At CN, of course, they'll go west until they intersect with the State Highway 146. We've worked with the construction group out here. There's going to be about $5,000 to move those barriers. But like I said, with building relationships and bridges with these folks, they're basically doing it for free. It's just going to take a few moments of our time tomorrow at 2 o'clock. They're going to move those barriers and get us set up so that whenever all this traffic leaves on the south of 7th Street, like I said, it goes to the State Highway 146. It's actually going to be able to go right up onto the bypass and go north. Make sense? Okay. So again, that takes care of all the traffic over here. You'll see these little orange marks, dashes. Those are actually areas that are going to be barricaded. So anytime you see, like right here at 3rd Street, 5th Street, 4th Street, all that in there, like I said, those are actually areas that are barricaded. And of course, you can see that traffic doesn't go in anywhere in there. 6th Street will be barricaded off. What you'll see is right here, you'll see 6th Street is going to be barricaded off on both ends. We're going to keep that barricaded throughout the day. We've been working with the businesses over there to make sure that they know that we're going to barricade it off. And we've said, hey, if you've got folks that are coming in, and your workers needs a place to park, we'll open that up and let them park if there's deliveries that need to be made. But one of the main reasons why we're doing that again is just because we know we're going to have a lot of foot traffic that day. So just in preparation for it, and also to help just get folks almost Pavlovian, getting them in just in that groove of taking that route that they're supposed to go, just the loop around the entertainment district. And if you have questions, like I said, feel free to ask. When it comes to we're going to say just the west side now of the city, we see a lot of traffic over here in the Target and Home Depot parking lot. And so we're same with our Walmart section too. The traffic that exits out of there will be able to leave out. We have specific areas coned off and, like I said, sectioned off for folks to leave out of that parking lot there. They'll be able to leave out and enter 2094, but we're going to keep this backside open as well. Earlier in the day, whenever we begin to reach our max capacity and we begin to collapse around the city as far as these areas, this Daniel Drawer is actually going to serve as a detour point. If you begin to close something off, you got to have a place for folks to go, right? And so, one, we keep that as a detour, so it sends them all the way over here to 518 and pushes them back west, but it still allows them to enter into the parking lot over here if they'd like. Some people may just say, no, I ain't doing that. But the folks that say, hey, you know what, we're going to brave that and we're going to go, and even the workers that work over here along the strip center. So I've been talking with Home Depot. So Home Depot, they're not shutting down at all. They're working normal hours, and buddy, they got folks coming in overnight. So again, it's super important for us to leave that open for our business owners and folks that are going to be working at night. These little yellow marks here, of course, those represent barriers as well. Again, they'll be able to cut all the way through Daniel Drawer, and then again, they'll be shot back west on 518. These two pieces actually mirror each other as far as Home Depot and Walmart. So the same thing is they come up 518, and we begin to collapse the city because we're reaching that near max capacity. This right here is going to serve as a detour point, and in both places, such as 518 and 2094, officers that are going to have the road coned off stage there to give folks direction. Again, this is going to stay completely open, so that's Evergreen Memorial Drive. They'll only be able to go all the way to 96 and then back west on 96. Ralph Gordy is going to be barricaded off, so they will not be able to turn and come up that way. Now, I know a minute ago, but I know you had some questions there. One of the great things about you being there this year is that we're using the community center as a point for our law enforcement, EMS, staging is kind of what it is. It's a cool down station for the workers, for the officers that are going to be out there for 12, 14, 15, 16 hours. So you're right next door to us. So you're not going to have any problems whatsoever. Again, with that, we got some comments from the T-Bone Tom folks, I think on our last meeting, and they said, hey, you got the barricades up front, and I think even the young lady from the winery was like, hey, I feel like, I don't get some of the business that maybe I normally would. And so what we're doing is we're actually moving the barricades back. So we're going to move them back to like 8th and Harris. Your entrance is right there where all of us are moving. Your entrance is right there next to the community center. So that's going to remain open for quite some time. The only time there'll be a challenge, and that's just going to be at the very end of the fireworks, where we're really going to start shutting everything down. And I think everybody can appreciate the fact that we have such a huge amount of foot traffic. It's a inconvenience, but it's only for a short period of time. If we get one over, that short period of inconvenience, if we get no one ran over, they say you win 100% of the gunfights you never have to have, right? So if no one gets ran over, that short period of inconvenience saved 1, 2, 3, 4 people from getting ran over. And that's really the name of the game for us. It's about safety. And so again, whenever you look at the way we've ran the traffic this year, our traffic goes north and it goes south. And then, of course, it goes back the way that it came from. What we've done is we've created this huge corridor for our folks to cross the street, and as well as our golf carts. So what we've seen in the past is we were having to stop traffic to allow our people to go across and, miscommunication at time. People didn't hear, there's just such a large crowd of folks out there. And so by doing this, we're able to continuously allow our folks to flow across the street and our golf carts. We've got the newly finished sidewalks and things like that our folks can use. And so again, man, we're putting those things to use. And again, hopefully, our goal is to, again, eliminate the number of folks that are up here in the boardwalk area a lot quicker than we've done in the past. Excuse me. One thing I failed to mention earlier is also over here on the west side of the marina, Caroline is actually going to be shut down for a period of time. And again, it's going to be later on in the evening. We'll have an officer here at West 4th Street in Caroline, and then also this will be blocked off as well. And what it does is it allows all of the foot traffic that comes over from the Home Depot and from Walmart that comes up along this backside. Even our folks, our friends over in Clear Lake Shores, up in the community that come along this backside here, it stops all movement of motor vehicles. And so again, our foot traffic can walk through there without being engaged by a car. Most of the time cars win whenever they get engaged, with this foot traffic. So it allows movement of our golf carts as well. Again, we see a lot of our golf carts coming from this area as well. Again, it allows easy travel back and forth there. And again, it allows them to travel over here. Home Depot and Target area will be shut down about halfway. So there will be no movement halfway of that parking lot east towards 146. So again, all of this area is going to be real clean and sanitized for folks that are walking and using golf carts. Excuse me. Same thing happens down here by Hanson Road too. It's shut off. And again, there's a median over there. There's no forward movement of motor vehicles over there. Again, it allows tons of foot traffic to come up along through here, cross the road, and get back over to Walmart. Again, we see a huge number, and it grows increasingly every year as far as the amount of foot traffic that comes into the Kemah Boardwalk area. And so again, we're trying to address that by doing that right there. We've got some roads that are open that weren't previously, so that's why you see the blue tape here. And like I said, for the most part, I think I've covered it. The folks that leave Walmart, they're able to come down through here as well. We're going to leave that backside open. So they'll have two routes of exit. So they'll be able to come up 518. They'll also be able to come down Evergreen Memorial down to 96. I've been working closely with Clear Lake Shores and several other agencies, again, to try to help make sure that those lights are open so that we keep that traffic moving as well. Any questions? So it's a great question. And so what I will tell you, and again, being in the industry that you're in, a lot of it's predicated on what's happened, current conditions, what's going on right now. And so we're going to respond to traffic as it happens. So I'd love to give you a hard, fast time and say, you know what? 401, we're doing it. But what's going to happen is we're going to wait for traffic to just basically talk to us. And then we're going to respond to how that traffic's acting, what the traffic patterns are, how thick is it? Is it moving well? Are we full over here? If we fill up early, then we're going to start blocking it down early. If, for whatever reason, it's an odd year and man, we're not full until 7 o'clock in the evening, we're really not going to do anything until you won't see all that movement until 7 o'clock. And even at that, the way we've set it up again is that we can shunt vehicles from coming over here. And again, it's just going to be a gradual collapse from the outside in. And then again, whenever we go to open up at the end, it's just going to be the reverse of that. We're going to collapse from the inside out. And again, our peripherals will be the last place that we open back up to allow cars back in, because we want to make sure that we've got those folks across the street. We got all of our lights working again. And like I said, just do it in an efficient and effective manner, and most importantly, safely. That's it. That's it.
So up to a certain point in time, everybody's GPS is going to dump a turn.
That's it.
And then let her right on Bradford over to 8th and up to the hotel. That will be open until it gets too congested.
Right. Again, we're playing off of traffic. Everybody in our department, we're excited about what's coming up. We know it's going to be a lot of work too. And again, I think we're ready for it. I think everybody's mentally prepared, physically, emotionally, spiritually prepared for what's coming. And, everybody out there with a good attitude, waving, helping people. the nation's birthday. I mean, come on, got to have a little fun. And so again, I think we've been coaching our folks, and again, they're great officers. And so, like I said, we're out there to help. Even if there is a barricade that's shut, if someone pulls up and says, "Hey, I work there," has credentials that's that shows that they work there, we're going to help them get to work. I mean, we're all trying to make a little money, right?
I'm really too worried about the staff, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's not your first rodeo, and thank you for your help in the past too. Like I said, we had the motorcycle that ran that 1 year, and like I said, you helped me with video on that, and so I appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, you're right next to us. We're going to keep that area. Traffic's going to be moving. Like I said, we'll have some barricades up, because of what's going on around there. But we're there to serve too. So any help. Now again, there's going to come a point where we can't move stuff, and like I said, it's going to be for a short window, a couple hours, but. Like I said, I think that's reasonable. Questions? Thank you. And like I said, with the thing that you read earlier, you took the time to read all 17 whatever pages. Any feedback that you have, again, being in that type of field, like I said, I appreciate it. Any feedback you have. Thank you.
You spent a lot of time in this, man. Weeks and weeks.
He says that, but here's what I tell everybody. It's not about what I've done. It's about the 27 officers that are going to show up that day. I can put a pretty plan together. In fact, you probably could too. It's about execution. And again, I think we've been coaching our folks. We've been talking about it. We've been showing them pictures. They ask me questions when I walk in. And so I believe it all comes down to execution. And I think we're prepared to do that. Any questions?
We want to thank y'all for your input. Notice y'all are coming to here, so we thank y'all for that.
Absolutely.
It obviously means something y'all to be here. Again, like you told you, if you need us, we need to move something, we're not going to sit there. We're just going to be fine. We'll go for it somehow, some way, so we can.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you, if somebody's blocking roadways, we're going to tow the vehicles. We're going to put some signs out there that let you know, hey, do not block this area. We have some areas that are very specific, that we need to be able to move, traffic through and emergency equipment through, if need be. And we're the signs are there.
Probably one of the first years where we weren't, lined with cars all the way around the outside of the perimeter of my hotel. So I was glad to see that.
Well, good. I'm glad. And
I guess the fire.
That's it. And like I said, any problems, like I said, we're just going to be right across the street. So definitely just give us a hoot.
We asked someone entering the city after it's barricaded for proof of residency, what will they accept, just a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am. And again, for us, it's, people move in, buy a home, and hadn't had their driver's license changed. There's no way for us to really verify every single one. We're going off the honor system that day. Like I said, most people, whenever they see an officer sitting there with a barricade in the road, like, hey, we're checking license. If they know they're not supposed to be back there, most of them turn and leave. There's a couple of them that are going to get through. Uh-huh.
So there's one coming in that don't believe you're going to pay to leave your address. And they can give you that address or that name I assume. If you need to verify, we can get an officer to do that.
So you bring up a good point too, and just something came to mind when you said that, is that we're not going to really start setting this up as far as checking IDs and stuff until about 3:00 in the afternoon. Again, we're trying to be data driven as far as the way we approach things this year. Speaking of that, of course, Lieutenant Rui has been really as far as getting cameras. We got cameras that are actually going to be counting the number of folks that enter into the boardwalk area. Again, we've got optics and so many places. We're going to have eyes in the sky. Like I said, it's going to be really, really cool this year as far as the data that we're going to get back. But back to what you had mentioned, we're not going to really start that ID checks until probably about 3 in the afternoon. And one of the main reasons why is because we really haven't seen that build up until about 4 in the afternoon. So we're going to get there about an hour before what we've seen historically. And again, that's when we're going to start checking it. So folks are welcome to come on in, go back to where they need to go. Again, the big thing for us especially along KIP, is just don't park there on the street. I know in the safety plan, we said, hey, only have X number of guests, come. But again, I think our biggest thing is, you have 1,000 people over, just don't have anybody parking on the streets. Again, we've got to be able to move traffic and move folks along back through there. I think that's our biggest goal.
Hope they know that they is get your, that's the same question over and over. They're calling.
Yeah.
What time are y'all shutting down? What time? We don't know. We really,
What's an event? Should be called.
Once we shut it down, it's shut down. You're not, technically not going to get in the city unless there's some type of emergency and you're on that emergency team. Like I said, I've been working with some of the businesses over here on the west side specifically, just talking to them about how their folks can get in. I know Whataburger, bless these folks' heart, they've got folks that are coming in at 10 o'clock at night. My dad works at Walmart. And I said, Dad, one of two things, my friend. Either get there really early or take the night off. But like I said, been working with them on how to come through. Again, because we have the detours over here, we're not shutting it down completely. We're just rerouting traffic temporarily. And with that, they're still able to get into the parking lot of Walmart, Target, or Home Depot. Like I said, they're not barred from getting in there. They're able to then creep crawl up to where they need to go if they work in one of the businesses that are right there. So again, we're not completely shutting that down. What we're actually doing, one of the main focuses here too, is because we're going to sanitize the streets here for whenever the folks begin to leave. It's not like we already have a traffic jam going. The streets are clean. We're wanting a single lane of traffic to come on down here because again, it bottlenecks right here, and we want to prevent that bottleneck. We just want that one seamless stream of traffic, and it's just running south. One of the great things that Dustin had pointed out, one of our council members, is of course he works with the boardwalk. We went over the number of cars that they're able to park there. So about 600 and some change in the parking garage, about 600 and some change over here. I think it came to about a total of about 1,500. And so when we look at the breadth and width of the Kemah Bridge, we're able to basically put all of those cars on that Kemah Bridge and just let them sit stagnant. That's the breadth and width of that bridge. So that's great. Now, that's if it's just completely clean. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, Seabrook, they've got about 1,500 cars that are going to come from that waterfront, and they're going to migrate with our cars. So there's going to be some backup on that bridge. You know, we're prepared for that. But again, that's just the nature. Of course, about keeping those cars moving. Excuse me. One last thing, and then I'll shut up. Unless you got questions, is the pink here, it just represents the bypass. Whenever we begin to close this place down, any cars that are coming up 96 going northbound, they'll be able to continue to go northbound. They won't be able to come into the city. They'll just be rerouted up to the bypass, and they'll continue to go north. The exit onto the Kemah Bridge from the bypass will be closed, and there's two exits that are going south on the bypass into the Kemah area. Those will be closed as well. Our DPS friends will actually be helping us tremendously with this particular effort. They'll be monitoring basically everything from the base of the bypass here where CN's at, and run it all the way over to like Repstorf or whatever, and then they'll be making the loop coming back. We'll have 4 officers, 4 troopers rather. They'll kill me if they heard me say officers. They'll have 4 troopers that are going to be running north and 4 troopers that are going to be running south. And then we'll have a couple extras here as I understand it. So as far as their leadership team. But yeah, so DPS is going to help us up top. We've got GCSO. They're going to be helping us on the ground as well. And like I said, we've been in contact with Clear Lake Shores, League City, Seabrook, and like I said, just our partnering agencies. And like I said, looking forward to working with those guys too, and gals. Any questions? Thank you. Yes, thank you. Did I turn this off? Thank you.
If there are any comments or questions, I will adjourn the meeting at 5:26 p.m.
all in favor? Aye.
Unopposed.
We can hear that comment. She wants to say aye, and then she's going to watch for a second.
Hi, I'm Mary Jo. And I want
Good job.
So when are
Thank
we
you.
gonna find out who won the blood drive?
That is a cheap question. It's a cheap question.
I heard you bled out. I heard they turned you into a piece of beef jerky.
I know that Caesar went over there and said that 5 people came in for the firefighters at the last minute. So I called my reinforcements. They're on their way over there. Walk-ins are welcome.
Who won? We don't know yet. Oh.
I better not lose. I don't worry, girl.
Did you try it on first? Make sure it fit?
Her dog. She hit me with
I
that
saw the
needle.
picture. I saw the picture.
And Doug
You
in
was-
the, Doug's in the back under.
You was screaming. You was sliding down that chair.
I can, look, I can do tattoos all day long, right? But that one, when she hit it, like she
Let
went
me
in.
see, let me see your arm real quick.
Shit.
No,
I think like she went in double push.
look, we saw you.
She said,
Main character on that thing right now.
Yes, and 5 generations.
I like the shower.
I saw do a TikTok
So
video.
can we move this out?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I've kind of turned my face around, they might not hurt me.
I had the mic on, that's fine. It'll still pick it up like a little bit. It would be like you're talking to the mic, but it got it. It's okay.
I'm sure you'll move
Yeah, I
back
can
to
keep
the.
it ready, because if I stop it, I can't start back up yet, so. Because the encoder has had a time to process it.
The next meeting.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
she got a pro.
I think I'll find him.
Oh, I sent you the link to the legislate thing.
Or put it
In your email. But we'll do it tomorrow, we'll fix it. That way you can have it, and I'll save it in your favorites.
We're not sticking this
in your,
before you.
On your iPad,
Somebody walk up
so
with
you
you.
just go into it and do whatever you want to do.
Watch it.
Oh, shit.
See you later.
Whee!
Always this.
You're not talking about me. I was like, wait. Say something crazy.
I'm gonna make him bring that.
Yeah. Couple of them. We're on live stream right now, so. I had to leave the live stream running because if you stop it, it doesn't have enough time to encode. You can't restart it, so it was like, yeah, I gotta do that. I'll be back.
Hey Kyle, can you hear us on live stream? Kyle, we're testing the mic. Can you hear us? Stop it. Yes, we can hear you.
Seeing we have a quorum, I will call to order our City of Kema, City Council and Kema Public Facilities Corporation regular meeting, July 2nd, 2025 at 6 PM. The first thing on our agenda are the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear.
Next, we'll have a moment of silence. And next on the agenda is the invitation to address council. We did not have anyone sign up tonight. And we have proclamations, presentations, and awards. The first one is recognizing July 2025 as National Parks and Recreation Month. And I think Ray Shard is going to accept this. Okay, this is the designation of July as Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illness such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of business, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, or recreate outdoors, I guess. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designed July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas EPA recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore, I, Mayor Robin Collins, do hereby proclaim the month of July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Keaton. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Keaton to be affixed the second day of July 2025. I forgot to sign it. And the next one is a proclamation for Teresa Vasquez Evans and,
She just texted me, Mayor. She says that she's on her way.
okay, we'll come back to it.
Thank you. Mayor, if I can, while you're speaking about the parks, and just to highlight a few things, being that it is National Parks Month, the staff has worked hard to get Foster Park back up, made some repairs at CN Park. There's an item on the agenda tonight that, if approved as is, we would then open the door to get some more improvements done at CN Park, hopefully before the end of this month. But being a parks guy, parks is celebrated throughout the entire month. And one of the things that Patty's working on is a calendar for all the different things that we can do throughout the month, not just through the park, but throughout the city, including, what bands are playing where, what parks to go visit, scavenger hunt, and what have you. So I want to take a moment and highlight that and also appreciate the entire Parks and Public Works staff for all the work they do maintaining our parks. Included in July, we will look to have our ribbon cutting for phases 1 and 2 of a 57-acre park as well. So lots to plan for.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
team.
So you can come on
Just in
here.
time.
Just in time. So this is this proclamation is honoring former council member Teresa Vasquez Evans in her service to our city. Whereas Councilmember Teresa Vasquez Evans has served the city of Kima with countless years of dedication, integrity, and a profound commitment to improving the lives of its citizens. Whereas during her tenure, she has championed initiatives that reflect her passion for responsible governance, community engagement, and sustainable growth, and has worked tirelessly to enhance public services for all our residents. Whereas her leadership, thoughtful decision-making, and willingness to collaborate have strengthened the bonds of our city and helped foster a welcoming environment for families, businesses, and visitors alike. Whereas Councilmember Vasquez Evans' work embodies the spirit of public service and a deep devotion to the well-being of every person who calls Kima home. Now therefore, I, Mayor Robin Collins, along with the City Council, do hereby recognize and proclaim appreciation for Councilmember Teresa Vasquez Evans for her outstanding contributions to our city and our future. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Kima to be affixed this second day of July 2025. Collaborative effort. You're right. Okay, and we have one more thing for you, that hopefully you will enjoy moving forward in your new work and new efforts and whatever. Thank you. Wish you well. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for coming. So good to see you. Skipping anything. Next on our agenda are the mayor's comments and announcements. I want to just say good evening to everyone and thank you all for joining us tonight. First, I want to extend a warm welcome back to Councilman Darren Broadus. It's truly wonderful to have you here again. Darren has served this city before with dedication and thoughtfulness, and we're all grateful to have him back at the dais. It's also 4th of July week, one of our favorite traditions. That sun is in my face. Let me get over here. Okay. One of our favorite traditions here in Kima. We're looking forward to Independence Day Parade this Friday, and this year's theme is Red, White, and Kima Blue, honoring our 60th birthday. For our parade participants, the staging lot will be open at 7:30 a.m., and all entrants need to be in place by 9:30 a.m., according to Patty. At the very latest, you need to be ready by 9:30. After the parade, our friends at T-Bone Tom's will be serving free hot dogs while the supplies last. And it's a great opportunity for everybody to come together as neighbors and enjoy a true hometown celebration. We'll also be welcoming many, many visitors to Kima this Friday. I think because 4th of July is on a Friday, it's kind of a double whammy for us. And I want to thank the Kima Police Department in particular for all their planning and preparation. We had another meeting right before this to go over those plans again. And it took a lot of time to put it together, and I really appreciate it. They have developed a very comprehensive plan to safely and efficiently manage the traffic, the pedestrians, the golf carts, everything throughout the day. And we appreciate all their hard work in keeping all of us safe. I'd like to thank everyone who attended last week's Hurricane and Safety Preparedness Fair over in League City. It's always better to be prepared for a storm than trying to play catch up. And one thing I want to bring to your attention is flood insurance. This is time to take care of it. If you have not, it takes 30 days for it to go into effect. You can visit the Texas Department of Insurance website or the City of Kima's website. We have a link there for more information.
To help our residents get and stay prepared, we've also created some magnets with important contact numbers on them. This is what they look like. It's a magnet, you can stick it anywhere, but it gives you police, fire, WCID, Centerpoint, poison control, all the numbers you need in case of a disaster or problem. I think Patty has some in the lobby, the magnets maybe?
Yes.
So you can pick those up and take them with you, pass them out to your neighbors and friends. I also want to share a few exciting new local business events. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we will be cutting the ribbon at Alberto's Mexican Food just down the street. They'll be celebrating their grand opening on Saturday. So come by tomorrow and help us welcome them to our community. And next Tuesday, July the 8th at 10:30 a.m., we will be at Toucan Alley to cut the ribbon at the new Mona Lisa Trattoria. They're Italian and it's really good. They'll be offering a variety of delicious dishes, Italian and French, a wonderful new addition to Kima's dining scene. We're thrilled to see both of these businesses come to town and open their doors and help make Kima even more welcoming for residents and visitors. One more upcoming event I need to mention is the Elite Redfish Tournament. It's coming back to Kima July 16 through 19. This includes the annual Pro-Am tournament on Wednesday, July 16. For all council members that would like to participate in that Pro-Am, they need to contact Patty as soon as possible and get their names in for that. Let's see what else. Thank you again for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. And let's have a safe and joyful 4th of July. Next on the agenda will be council members' comments. Darren, would you like to, if Councilman Broadus, would you like to start us off?
Thank you for my 3 weeks off. Look forward to hitting the ground running with the budget and look forward to working with the new council members. Congratulations to both of y'all. So that's all I got.
Councilman Oliver?
I don't have anything to add tonight. Just ready to get started.
Okay. Councilman Mason?
Well, welcome back, buddy. You didn't get far, did you?
I'll be counting down with you next
There
year.
you go. There you go. It's good to see you. Just real quick, thanks for everybody coming out. If you're, anybody that you see with one of these, there was a blood drive, and the chief displayed his leadership and his strength today. If we can zoom in on that a little bit, that would be ideal. But there we go. There it is. There it is. But great. I actually got up from mine just to take that picture. I'm having a blast watching that. But truly though, that was great that you did that. It was a really big turnout. So thank you for that. But that's really all I have. I just want to give him a hard time.
And Councilman Wallace?
Well, I want to welcome the new guy. All of a sudden, Dustin and I aren't the new guys anymore. It's good to see you, brother.
Thanks.
And thank everyone for coming out, and thank everybody that's watching streaming. I think it's on live tonight, right? Appreciate
Should be.
everyone. And I want to thank Ms. Vasquez Evans also for her service. I didn't get to work with her. I don't know her very well, but I thank her for her service. And wish everyone a happy 4th of July.
Thank you. And Councilman Saldana?
Welcome back, Darren. I see that shirt still pressed in the closet. That's nice.
I had to go pull it out of the trash.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm really excited you're back, man. I mean, we all know how hard you work, and we're happy you're here. I am. That's it.
Well, next we will turn it over for the city administrator's report. Caesar?
Natasha, if you can, I just sent you something. I don't know if you're able to pull it up through your teams. I do want to take a moment and say that a lot of us did go out and support the event today. Fire and police and a lot of regular came through, so we're thankful for that. There is still time to go. It is available until 7 p.m. Tonight, and we did a Facebook Live just a little while ago. Patty and I did there on the scene, so we're very excited, and we're hopeful that everybody can come out tomorrow for the ribbon cutting. Been quiet, but it's also been very, very, very busy, and that's always, the quietness before the storm, if you will. We've got some exciting stuff coming at you guys, and we're very excited to share. So with that said, one of the items is up here. I'll let Chief share what we're doing.
So the task force over in Galveston County Auto Theft Division, they came and contacted us about doing a catalytic converter etching event. We're going to host it here in Kemah. It's going to be on July 11th at Texas Complete Auto Repair on 518. They're going to have 20 spots in the morning from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and then that afternoon 1:30 to 4 p.m. As you know, that's a big thing going right now with thefts of catalytic converters. What they do is they go underneath and they actually etch on your catalytic converter, your VIN number, which lets us know when they try to go sell these things on the market, they won't buy them, or they'll notify us that someone's trying to sell a hot catalytic converter. Please, we encourage you, 40 spots if it turns out to be real good. They've agreed to come back and do it again. They are real big on this, and we're so happy that they chose us to do it. And we want to thank, again, Texas Complete Auto Repair on 518 for opening up their shop so you can just drive on in. When you get there, it's literally going to be 10 minutes and you're out the door. So yes, it's that quick. So it'll be easy and done. So we appreciate them coming to us.
I just want to also commend our PD and our staff. So this effort would be part of the Auto Crime Task Force, also tied to the Organized Crime Task Force. So some of the things that we're looking to partner through to provide more coverage and teamwork activities towards public safety. On that note, I also wanted to take a moment and thank Walmart for their generous donations for our volunteers and our staff who will be working on the 4th of July. We'll be here for a very long day, starting with the parade in the morning, where we're excited for the festivities. But we want to thank them and thank all the volunteers who have signed up to come out and help us out, both for the parade and then as well for the traffic calming shortly after the actual fireworks show. And that concludes our report. Thank you.
Next on the agenda are reports from staff. Those, I guess, should be in the packet. And then number 10, consent agenda, to approve the minutes of the 6/18/2025 City Council Workshop Meeting, and 10B, to approve the minutes of the 6/18/2025 City Council Regular Meeting.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilman Doug Meisinger to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Dustin Oliver. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda carries unanimously. 11A will pull tonight. It was inadvertently put on the agenda. 11B, presentation of the draft City of Kemah Social Media Policy 2025-2028. This is a presentation only and for you all to read. And this is for city pages only. This doesn't have anything to do with you as a councilman and your social media page. It would be the city pages only. So it can be brought back for a future agenda item for approval.
Madam Mayor, I do want to take a moment and thank, this is a project that I guess Aaron had started or during Aaron's time here, but had worked with Patty on this. Patty had several resources he put together, and I believe some residents, even Ms. Shalia Thorne, presented an example of something that we kind of put together with a few other best practices and locations. And this is one of the things that Councilman Teresa Vasquez Evans had asked us to do prior to her departure. So this is the draft. We're asking for your input and your feedback on it, any changes, additions, deletion that you would like. And then should you take a couple weeks to look at it, then we'll bring it back for formal adoption at a future meeting. So we wanted to give it either 2 weeks or 30 days, depending on how much time you would like, so we can bring this back for formal adoption.
Would 2 weeks sound an appropriate amount of time for everybody to read it and give feedback? Okay.
Thank
Okay. Well, Caesar, just copy you and Patty on it.
Yes, please. Thank you
okay.
so much.
11C, discussion and possible action to award a construction contract for the Texas CDBG CDB 23-0409 drainage improvements project.
Mayor, this is the item that involves the grant funding that was available for 7th and 8th Street for drainage repairs that the city was awarded, I want to say a year back. We do have Ms. Megan Flynn here from Public Management and Mr. Kyle Vincent, who is one of the 2 engineers of record on this project, should you have any questions. Sadly, the expected cost when the application was submitted versus the actual cost today in today's construction dollars is very different. as we've noticed with a lot of construction projects throughout the entire state and nationally. So different scopes are presented to you tonight. The decision needs to be very clear as to what we'd like to do moving forward. But both Megan and Kyle is virtual. Megan is here in person should you have any specific questions as to what route you would like to take. But some deliberation is necessary for decision because we're ready to award bid at this time. You remember a couple meetings back, we released this bid. It was a competitive bidding. I believe we had 3 different respondents. And now it's time to award the bid and decide to what level we're going to award it, with the understanding that we only have a certain amount of money from the funding agency. If you remember, the award amount was the $380,000.
380.
I guess, Ron, my question to you is where were you gonna come up with the $702,000?
Certainly. Well, one of the questions, Megan, do you mind approaching, and Kyle, who are on there? If you notice that the scope of work was presented in different scopes, or different sections, if you will. Right now, the lowest bid would be awarded, if you wanted to go that route, would be to Teamwork Construction, but that includes all of it. There's also the possibility of reducing the scope of work. There is a map also attached, Ms. Natasha, if you could please share that. That would allow us to visually see in jurisdiction of what we have. I'm pretty sure it made it the last page. But essentially, oh, no, I guess it did not make it. But essentially, we have to decide, do we want to do 7th, 8th, and what is it, little piece of Caroline?
Yes, so the drainage would outpour into Carolyn Street.
Is your microphone on?
It should be. Is it?
Okay.
Okay.
The button's pushed.
Yeah, it's green.
Thank you. So in her memo, she describes what the different options would be. And it's time for us as a council, or you as a council, to deliberate and make the decision as to what you'd like to do today. But to Darren's point, whatever the difference is, you would be on the hook for. I know
guess
that
we set, so how much did we set back? Was it 50/50? You have to remind me now.
it was not, I want to say the match was.
So your match for construction was about 90,000, 97,000. You also matched a bit more for admin and engineering, but the total construction budget from the grant was only 380,000. So when we received
I'm talking
those,
about from our finances, we set aside some money to match this grant.
it should have been 97,399.
Because we knew what the estimated cost was, I thought we did. I don't remember what the split was, if it was 50/50, 60/40, I don't remember.
I think
The split looks like it was more towards 75-25 or 80-20, according to the numbers, as far as what the total from the funding is.
I'm talking about this is here, but we had figured off whatever number we figured it off. I thought we set a reserve in the budget to have that paid for. So what's the difference, I guess, between that reserve that's already there and what the increase is? I don't have financials in my house.
I don't have where that was listed or set aside. Kyle, if you want to, Ryan, if you want to take a look, if you have any input on where it may have been set aside.
Yeah, I know I put a little 250,000 in for the next year's budget, but I'd have to go look at it for 2025. I can go do that and come back.
On that note, though, while you are having the discussion, Ms. Natasha, could you scroll to the memo from Ms. Megan? It's about 4 pages down from where you are there. It's also in your packet. It's the last page of
Yeah, the
this.
last page.
If you notice under the 2 bullet points of other options you have, that other considerations you could do would be awarding 7th Street, including Carolyn, for a total of $631, or awarding 8th Street alone for a total of $573. So those are some options as well that you have. But either way, we would be, back to Darren's point, Councilman Broadus's point, we would need to come up with the difference above and beyond the 380.
There's also other factors to consider, which are outlined in the memo, just that beneficiaries are a big part of this grant funding, and awarding one street or the other will impact who benefits from the project, of course. So I kind of discussed that 7th Street could still provide benefits to 8th Street, but awarding just 8th Street is not likely to provide any benefit to 7th Street. And that's just something we have to consider because we will need to submit an amendment to the TDA. And we run more risk of them not accepting our amendment if we are reducing our beneficiaries. So we'd like to try to keep the beneficiaries the same if possible.
So you're saying do both or just do some?
That would be my recommendation, yes.
And again, this would be subject to TDA approving the change in scope, that it still meets the beneficiary percentage.
Correct. And we'll need an amendment regardless of what we award because of Carolyn was not originally in the scope of the grant. So we'll either be just adding Carolyn, keeping both 7th and 8th, removing 8th and adding Carolyn, or removing 7th and just awarding 8th.
I guess that's my only question, is where the money can come from. I thought we did set aside some money somewhere, though.
We did.
But didn't,
I'm trying
was
to
it,
find out.
was it set aside in the road thing?
It was 250 just a road, that was something completely separate. I thought because I think that was actually 2 years ago. It's been going on for a while.
Yes, this grant was awarded last year, I believe. Last February was
I was gonna
the,
say, it was last summer, I think. so
last
that was-
February was the kickoff.
That was 2 budgets ago.
So
Just while questions are going on, Ms. Megan, Kyle, also, do you have any engineering input on this? Obviously, from an engineering perspective, it makes sense the way you engineered it to do all of it. But I have a question that's more dated to fiscal year requirements. If this project were to start, I don't know, today's July 2nd, I think, right? 2nd. This was to start August 1st. What's the scope of work, the time frame that each one of these different sections would take? Meaning, would the funds be due prior to the end of the fiscal year, or would it go past October 1? In your best estimate, obviously. That's a question for you and/or Kyle.
I'm not sure of the construction timeline. Let me
Mr.
see.
Tasha, could you see if Kyle's on?
Yeah, I'm here. The road, or the drainage project shouldn't take very long. I believe it's supposed to be like 3 or 4 months, supposed to be the construction, just because it's picking up, culverts, putting that down and just regrading ditches. So it shouldn't take that long. The longest portion would probably be doing the construction over the pipelines and that border that's there. That'd probably be the only constraint. So I wouldn't estimate it would take very long to get this project finished off.
I do want to point out that TDA would probably require that the city obligate those funds upfront as part of the amendment process. I don't expect that they'd be okay with proceeding with the city not committing through resolution to those funds.
And how long do you anticipate the amendment to take?
Typically like 30 days.
Okay.
But they cannot submit the amendment until a decision is made as to what you're going to want to look at.
Right.
So it sounds like we have to commit the dollars, but we wouldn't have to expend them until more than likely next fiscal year. It'll be after October 1.
Correct.
So
The
just,
97,399, that's above and beyond the 380?
no, the 97 would be the match had we stuck to the $500,000.
Well, the 97 was the match that you originally committed for construction. I don't know that those funds were actually set aside in the budget, but that was what was committed. And that's what TDA is expecting as of right now for your commitment to construction.
What'd you find out, buddy?
I found $187,000 were set aside in 2024. So could be the same project.
Let
So
me pull up.
So it came in 40% higher than we anticipated.
Well, you also committed some for admin and engineering. Let me pull up the exact.
So if we take the 631 number for 7th Street,
The gap is 155,000
yeah,
and change.
154.
And A Street's 96,722.
Yeah, that's what I came up with, a gap of 154, 495.
In your analysis, which street needs to be done worse?
That's an engineering question. I'll let Kyle respond.
Kyle,
Can you repeat that, please?
which on the scope describe which streets needs it the most?
I would say the most important would be 7th Street, just because the water drains, the 8th Street drainage goes south. So we would be, since doing Carolina and 7th Street, that's how it also benefits 8th Street, because it allows water just to flow more easily and out of the way. Whereas if we were to do 8th Street, it would kind of bog down the water, just because the elevation are correct on, or the flow lines wouldn't be corrected in Carolina. So majority of the, I would say 7th Street would be a major point to hit.
So just for information purposes, your total match for all three budget items, which is admin, engineering, and construction, is $142,399. That's what the city committed originally. That comes out to a match ratio of 28.48%, and we need to maintain that ratio. So however much is awarded for construction, we need to maintain a overall match ratio of 28.48%.
That's probably where the 145 came in. It probably took the 142 and change, rounded up to 145. The question, Ryan, those funds, if they were not used in 24, were they rolled over into, if you showed that, were they rolled over into 25 for use again in 25?
they weren't rolled over, but it rolled into the fund balance.
So
The funds were used.
So the 145 was not ever used, but it is part of your total fund balance now. So when you don't roll these over, if it doesn't get used at the end of the fiscal year, if you don't roll it over and you don't use it, well, obviously it goes to your fund balance. So that's why at the end of the year, any open POs that you have, you would just roll them over for the next year. You can account the fact that, hey, we couldn't get this project done before the fiscal year. We're going to get it done next year. You still account for those dollars. Whatever's unaccounted for that's not used, obviously rolls over into your reserves. So you have an influx of reserves in which you probably would have had this project got done for the 145 in your reserves that you weren't probably expecting to have because you just didn't do the project.
What did you say the percentage we needed to maintain was?
28.48%.
28.48% ratio.
And that's for overall project, not just construction. So
So
631, we said to come up with $180,000 almost. Is that right? Is that what I'm thinking?
That's about right. That's some of the math I did.
to maintain a ratio.
And we set back 250 for roads and drainage last year. The money's sitting there. We'd have to come out of Joel's fund on top, and the money is sitting there.
How much is it, you said?
250, I think is what we saw today. For
250, 532.
we set for road and drainage projects from last year's budget.
If I take
This year's
630,
budget, I guess.
if I take 632, subtracting 380, your number is 252, which would exceed the 28.48%, obviously.
Let's just do it 7th Street, right?
That would be 7th in Caroline.
Yeah. We don't want to surpass the 180,000 free money there. I'd say free money, grant money.
But that's not going to be, 350 is the number for the whole project, right?
No.
631.
380 is your
380.
construction grant
No, no, I'm talking about the
funding.
grant money.
That's the
380.
construction grant
Yeah.
funding, yes. The total
380.
grant is 500, but that's
So the
admin and
difference,
engineering.
451, 930. They're going to cover it, or if you reduce the scope, as we reduce the scope, are they going to cover the difference of the 20% of the
If-
631, 894?
If you go with 7th and 8th, it's at roughly 632,000 minus the 380 leaves you at a total commitment of 252. So you meet the criteria of matching 28.48 or above, and you still get the scope of 7th and Caroline done, but you don't accomplish 8th. That's also assuming that the funding agency approves your request.
But that's not my point. You're reducing the scope, but they're going to give you the same amount of money.
Yes, the commitment would still be there, to my understanding.
Yes, they're not going to change your grant amount for a scope change. If they
Really?
change their mind, or if they don't approve your amendment, that's a different story. But assuming the amendment gets approved, the grant money will stay the same.
These funding agencies are very cognizant of the fact that when these grants were written, if we were awarded in 24, it means it was probably written in 22 to 23. So, right, with the construction cost have changed since 23 to now, and when this thing obviously gets done, it was probably 22 when it was submitted. It was usually a 2-year cycle for awards. They were kind of delayed then. Chances are that your construction costs, what they were estimated then versus what they are now.
We were told it's gonna start a year ago. last
Yeah.
October.
So,
It's almost been 8 months. It'll be another year before it even starts.
so back to Councilman Broadus' point, the decision today that you're deliberating on is, do you try to take a swing at 8th Street only? As public management has said, Megan has said, chances are that it may not get approved for the beneficiaries. You can take on 7th and 8th only and have a better chance at getting the beneficiary percentage approved. And then you would have to fork up $252,000 to cover that amount. Do you take a swing at the entire amount and cover the difference, which I think there's no appetite for that based on what I've heard? Or do you just say no thank you and walk away from
But the
$380,000?
money's there, right? 250's in
Well,
there.
you said the 187 went into the general fund from the year before.
So it's in your reserves
You
now.
got 250 from last, or this year, this budget, so you got what, 430?
437.
That's been set off for roads and drainage. So if you got 380, plus 631, is what? 252, yeah. So we'd still have 187,000, well,
100.
I guess you'd pull the 187 out of general and then pull the difference from this year's budget? Is that the way it would? since that was
187
allocated?
would go through out of reserves.
Well, I'm saying, but that's,
Yes.
so we'd still have $180,000
Was it
for this year.
147 or
If we wanted to do a
187?
road project, we still could.
It was 187.
187, yes, you'd have roughly 185 to 187. And that's understanding that we're in July, so we're July, August, September, you've got 3
I'm
months.
just saying, we're not gonna use the 250 out of this year's budget and just pull the difference out of reserve. We'd pull the 187 out of reserves and then match it with this year's budget. So if there's something that pops up between now and September, we'd have $180,000 roughly to.
That's what you're saying is correct, Councilman.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanna make sure.
And then with the understanding as well that there's a very good likelihood that this does not get done this fiscal year anyways. Because if whatever you choose to do today, assuming that you choose one part of the scope or not, there's still, Megan's got to go through a 30-day window. We've got to work together to go to the funding agency and say, hey, we need to change the scope. Will this still be allowable? They give us that amendment, then we could proceed with the construction project.
So we could say we just want to do 7th and Caroline, they could say no.
They could say no.
It's possible, but they are in the interest of getting this project done. They awarded y'all the money they want to.
And these cost estimates are good for a certain amount of time or indefinitely now that they've submitted them for this project?
I think bids are typically good for 60 days. Is that standard?
Max 90, max
About
90.
20 days in my business right now.
Well, that's what I would think, so.
So for us right now, time is of the essence. We received this, we wanted to bring it to you. We knew from the preliminary cost estimates that the engineering group did that it was going to be slightly higher more than likely. This came at about what the numbers were expected to be. But the decision is now to give us direction and move forward and how the body would like to.
I'll try to formulate a motion here. I'll make a motion to award 7th Street, including work with Caroline Street, for a total of $631,894, with 187 coming out of general funds and 65,000 coming out of this year's capital road and maintenance. Is that right?
We have a motion by Councilman Darren Broadus. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Doug Meisinger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. We will make sure that we come back to you once we have information on that waiver request as an update.
11D, discussion and possible action to approve an agreement with CenterPoint for LED conversion of all streetlights citywide.
Council, we are seeking your approval to begin this project. It would be about a 1.5-year project, but it starts with this signature tonight to start the process. A lot of these lights are in back order. Once they start, it should take them less than a month to do, month and a half, 6 weeks to do the entire city. But we wanted to make sure that we had your approval to move forward with this project.
I guess my question is, I've been reading articles about this, and they said it's lowered their electric bill anywhere between 35 and 40%. Is that what they're telling us?
30% would be the conservative side. Also, what this would do would allow us to use that 30% savings to add additional lighting in some of the dark spots. So we're working with PD, Public Works, to identify some of the dark spots. We know there's that piece along Evergreen, a couple spots here and there that we know we have dark spots throughout the city that we would like to address with additional streetlights. So ultimately, it'll be a net zero when it's all said and done, because the savings will be put towards, some additional lighting. But the idea is to start with the conversion to LED, and then we'll start using those.
Approved an agreement with CenterPoint for LED conversions on all streetlights citywide.
We have a motion by Councilman Darren Broadus and a second by Councilman Lee Wallace. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 11E, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 2025-01, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Kima, Texas, enacting an ordinance authorizing the collection of unpaid fines, fees, and court costs and providing an effective date. This is the first of 2 readings, and this is, I'll let Caesar talk to it. It's just a formality so y'all are aware of it.
This goes back to accountability, making sure that we're following through on things we need to do. This is some language that we need in the ordinance to be able to uphold to the things that we're doing. We're seeking your approval to follow through with that. It is an ordinance, so there would be a public hearing at the next meeting to discuss it further should you need to, but we wanted your blessing to move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-01.
We have a motion by Councilman Doug Meisinger. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Darren Broadus. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 11F, consideration and possible action to approve an amended lease agreement with WCID 12 for Parkland CN Street, Kima, Wiggins Park. This is 11F.
Mayor, this was an item that technically came through or was generated due to the desire to possibly add lighting at CN Park. The idea was to, before we did so, that we needed some type of language that would not allow the 30-day revert clause of the land should WCID need it. We wouldn't want to invest dollars within the actual project then with a 30-day clause. So the scope of this particular amendment is to expand that so that we know that at least for the next 10 years, whatever improvements were done, that from 10 years from now, that they wouldn't revert to the land back, so that whatever improvements were done to the park. If you remember, this was something we talked about, having lighting at the park. We brought 3 quotes forward already, but there was an appetite to make sure that we could uphold, not spend the $25,000, I think whatever it was, 25 to 28,000, I think it was, what the quote was, to do lighting at the park, and then have 30-day clause to get it removed. So this would be the first step to move that forward. And we wanted
Has
just,
this been shown to Bob Roth and their board of any agreements?
Kyle just brought to my attention just now
I
that,
just got an email today that the attorney had talked to the board and they've approved this amendment that I prepared and sent to him. I mean, just like,
Monday?
no, like
5 minutes.
4:05 today.
However, they still need to take it for action to the board, but we want to make sure that there's an appetite here first.
They'll approve it at their meeting. Their meeting is the third Monday of the
Third
month. They'll approve it
Monday
then. Yeah.
at 4:30.
But this way, we've got a defined term and they can't undo it. So if we make improvements, we don't have to worry about it.
I'll make a motion to approve an amended lease agreement with WCI 12 for the park land, CN Park, Kima, Wiggins Park.
Second.
We have a Motion by Councilman Darren Broadus, a second by Councilman Dustin Oliver. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Next, we will go into executive session at 6:45.
Please, I gotta tell myself, I'm used to that. Well, I used to work straight back when we go do the flag dance. I'm used to just go. I'm gonna go straight back. I can already see it happening.
We need to lay like a little swing mattress right there.
We do. I'm gonna laugh too.
It's a big dollar. They're pretty good.
Right on top of it.
All right, you have right there.
Allergy medicine.
They are. Or are you? And that was moved down to 60,000 people, a city of 2,000 residents. We got the whole reason for this. But then it's minimum, it's so how come lower tax some more people that are lower tax. And that's what this means. Well, why would you spend it?
Yeah. But, so what I was.
But it's state law. So you said,
We'll never do five, we have an extra place there, so.
I don't understand why you want that.
Yeah.
Right.
On this step, so we actually, we can, use.
But it's just, it's a mess.
No,
not
but it's not
for
for
other, it's not for other overtime.
It's
It's
just
just
years
your
ago,
expense.
a nonprofit. I didn't speak, it's really, well, take a look at like other money.
I mean, no, it's not a budget. It wasn't budgeted for. I knew you had budget. Okay, let's work. Yeah, because so.
I'm recruiting at this point for, the people.
Right, but it doesn't get this, and, and that's
I don't care about it.
awesome. So would you have preferred that, since it wasn't in the budget, it's not getting?
No, I would refer them to just.
Yeah. Okay, so here, think about it this way, okay? Why should the taxpayers, why, because you don't pay hot taxes, okay? You don't pay hot taxes, which is very new tax, right? So why should the taxpayers of Kima be paying for extra police that are here for votes? You pay for the police force to be here on regular days and, normal stuff. But when you have an event, it's where there's so many people that we need to watch that for the taxpayers.
My name is Shirley Vaughn. I think we, I actually ran. And it should be. That is, that's what it is.
The same way that funds can be used to pay for your little bitty group bureau or your. Yes. And they do, they pay my salary.
Yeah.
Our managers are no. Shouldn't be like up to 2,000 people to go through the houses, get like 2,000 residents. That we could cover. I don't. But that. Look for everyone on the public chat, there's also one that shows why successful elections in Bryan. Well, I tried. Have you noticed all the competition? Yes, 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 absolutely. Oh, yeah, I stay to the, usually, I just go out on a little, bike, the other conversation, no action. And just for full closure. Or she said, I'm actually one of the officers, because he they have a open record of meetings and. Yes, yes, and so I made a request, so I have to deal with the drainage. Well, it's good enough. So when that happens, just like you got a process, so then you have to go forward. So the city decided, I'm not gonna give it to them. So they speak to the attorney general until her version of the so. No, they did. They did. They did. And I can't fathom how you don't put them down. But you know what? I'll tell you and prosecute the law. For the entire state of Florida, so Texas person in class, Texas parents and stuff, there was this One of these is thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's do you know, I was, they were saying they knew that they were, they have girls' sports, for example. You know, you're right. One thing, teenagers sports. Like when the guy is doing 1 hour. You want to try to look at it, you know that? Yes, they were first. And you know, yes. So I think there's some things that are like that. But when you have this room, you know, because that's really like something. I'm just going to that trip, not some people shopping at Walmart because someone comes there, shopping socks. Or I do that. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I've got to make my whole cover. So, plus the other, well, I have cases in that last week, and then drive back. How long you did in New York? No, I worked here. And you have on I have Johnson County. And it's my taxes, I will change the my bank taxes for benefit fees, so she sent $300,000. He said, yes. And the city, it's a county, because the insurance is covered. So now I actually should tell, and it's like, oh. Change up the Delaware and put the Delaware on southeast of where the Delaware is. So then, that's decided on the team. Oh, we did it. On the side. So the vendor, they, the county has to come. Sued the county. I'm probably not a. Because they didn't get paid. So, no, then. Then they found out that there's one more there, that we're dirty, put in the spillway. And, but you would think that, so you can tell you that, yes, you did. And so not only do they, and their church, they covered the party. So we taxpayers, you too, because it's the county, had to pay out of the, they didn't write it. She was thinking right there. She was in prison because the gentleman in Germany. And then, yes, convinced her to do it. It went through her. I feel sorry for her. I'm sure there was some in-person thing going on, and she didn't think, you know, hey, I don't know. But people did do it. She, when you look at her, she seemed like your Aunt Mary. Just a common registration. Allowed to pay out of bread. So, they, Zid, and they can get tired. You know. You know, some of that trend is people are changing back to regular. So I really don't know. I like the conversation from the leaders and families, so I think that's how our students and rental properties for families. They have short-term rentals, but they say working to the house. Well, in most parts of the well, they're polite, they don't even challenge, they have their history conversation. Students living in it. They just took it, you know what I've heard about you know what I've heard? I've heard about people who get put up with stuff, they're growing, you know, about, they keep trash. People still doesn't use it for food, mail, and election. Maybe. yesterday, we have to have it back in by 5 o'clock that evening, we're going to feel better.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, you get ready for drinks on it's a challenge because they don't want us to clean. That's kind of why we don't want to register. So my house, I do the back end of my neighborhood, and my house is a street, a gated street that has houses on both sides, and then there's one. So those two houses, not that are back to my house, that are houses that back that are on the other side of the street, they go off and I could probably there on the Friday. And I get there's a massive house behind the and it's got it was built. It's got like a mother-in-law wing, it's like a whole separate two-story. I know this is why they all the time. But I said, we never had to go out. Yes. But it's either something we can. And I'm just talking about my kids. Yeah. But she
In the garage. There's no period.
You're the trash truck. I expect to be flying through there, and most times it's, well, don't be like, so I'm going to go east for that, they have to talk about you and that on that trash. People lost their mind. So they, so if you, I'm that trash. I was just curious, but they had great. But we have a second one, and it's just trash.
Yeah, and there got in trouble for that because they negotiated a buyout contract to their officials. And, yeah, no, they didn't even put it on the ballot, they just did it, and it got put in the trust, so the city sued the board. So, in order to negotiate all of that, have another one. They have choices. There is. Look, if they don't like, they just is, you don't have to. I don't. Then they go to there's Jerry Buss. I just Googled it, and it said that, appeal, up and within $50,000. Yes, and the check, no different than that, so you have to follow that. And the time to follow it, I think you have to get $400 an hour, you get $400 an hour. Yeah, and it's a little, it's a few. And city taxpayers, we have to pay that. But if they did everything, she can't have that. They have to, but they don't control, they have to appeal. And that's all, they're, that's $400. It's not just that. I believe that, they come out. At least get it decided, they're not going to execute, they're the taxpayers' dollars. Oh, yeah. And, it's very so. So that, because they're, right, they're arguing over. And it's for something legitimate. To me, you don't think really, and fighting as opposed to they have to go to water, something that should be, that is inside. Let's say it's our second, there's a third, you know, much good, we gotta do that. What's happening? And, you know. Look, you Google it, see what the city budget actually is. I bet nearly, I always say it's I used to about our entire budget, and our entire city budget is $60 million. That's everything. Thank you, thank you. And, yeah, and, you know, it was very difficult to get that information. And it's so important. I don't think I always did. It's very difficult to get that information out. Anyway, so is it gonna be exciting in the next budget meeting? Now you're gonna have all your, okay, transmitted. What is that? And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, what are the things that are already, that we can't walk, that we don't have a choice? And then what are our nice
Needs and wants.
Needs and wants.
That's what it says.
Yeah, but I guess, and I could, but then you, some type of card, okay, so what do you want? What was wrong with it? So. But
And I would tell the performance, I think if you want, like, you either want to put down, that way you have a running list, like, I've been asking for this for 10 years, and I still ain't got one. You know, electric pencil sharpener, so, but, I mean, if you don't have.
But at least maybe like you said, when you're here for the next budget, you'll know this and take to go ahead and have it for something.
I said, after
Yeah.
2008.
Voice meetings like that.
Yeah, so, and the, yeah, running, so that's nice.
So we're waiting, sitting on, sending me all their stuff.
I'm looking forward,
Pile all that back up.
I'm looking forward to it. I love it.
My wife, on Sunday, so we're going to cruise, I'll be looking here next week. Trying to get ready for so. I'll be freaking out, see what you get right now.
So anyway, you'll probably be on here.
I don't know, there's some people that so. Yeah, Cedar come walking out when I said something. He goes, he looks at me, he goes, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to figure. I was getting all the entries in for, so we do the, run meetings. And I was was like,
So,
I gotta get it
Can
done.
they turn it over to the auditor, turn it and bring me a report in? Oh, that's not a good sign. Cause that was over, that's been over 2 months.
Yeah, we're working on, KCBC.
Oh, maybe that they were wanting, because last year, they done 2 separate reports.
I'm gonna ask you about that, because the general part, our software, so the KCBC left our software, and then it was, and then it came back. And when it came back, it's like, they set up all getting balances and all that stuff.
That's a lot of watches on Saturday. You're actually kind of doing accounting work as opposed to the finance director.
Yeah, I'm in the lead big time. And, so, I've been working with the people, our software people, on how to correct the issue. And then, so they've been, I need to talk to this person, talk to that person, this person's a specialist. And then they're like, oh, this needs to be a problem. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it has to be done, so. I'm like, so, like, we have to advise. So I'm like, I was like, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, oh.
So you got other things to do.
Yeah, I was like, and then, so they're like, oh, well, it's just, the process will take a few weeks, you're a few weeks down to two. So the auditor's like, hey, well, we have this. So I sent them an email, be like, hey, it's in for you a few months. What can we do to get by? What do you want me to do to get, just read out that? So.
You don't want finding.
Yeah. Everything's in there, right? I'm like, everybody, 5, 6 checks, 10 checks a month, like, there's no, it's not.
It's not right, it's not like.
What's the beginning balance is being done, like, put the system right? I'm gonna be done with recon in the day. Like, I'm like, guys, I just need that start point. So, what my auditor sent me a big journal, I'm looking, like, oh, put this in short.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm gonna be able to be anxious to see, the notes for, you know, how they had like 6 pages and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm interested to what. I know it's very difficult for a small entity, but, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? You bite it out and bite the time, so what can you do so you don't have it for cheap? Because that, at some point, they may want to, be regular, whether they go out and money or not. It's, like they say, what do you need a lawyer before you need one?
That's the thing, like, we got a lot of checks and balances we actually put in place since the last audit. And I'm like, there's only 2 people in finance. Like, there's not, we don't have much hands. So, like, I know, I'm like.
Yeah, the big ones, like, so for instance, signing checks, so you don't end up with the thing that happens in, Galveston County, where someone's.
Oh, they changed the lottery? Oh, yeah. That.
It could be something with us, for instance, how people are having credit cards.
We've been talking about credit cards the last few days.
Okay, so you just, stuff like that.
So, where I came from, only a couple of records had like credit cards.
Oh,
All the other ones were locked and key at the city hall. We just were checking. So, we're kind of used to that way. Like, you get a credit card, put them out, someone
Loses.
loses their wallet or something, and then now, so with the Walmart, right up.
And I've actually heard that with credit card stuff, within minutes. I mean, they're going to every expensive store, just spending like crazy. They don't let it get cold.
They order online.
I go ahead and just
pick it up. So, but yeah, we're getting the investigation. I mean, best practices, they're gonna be like, oh, you basically need, we need to hire 6 people to do. the best practice. I'm like, it's not easy.
Like your finance conferences, or you're gonna go to the finance conference, or, city
I go to the, GMO, AT&T, I go to that one. I go to, I like to. So I need to go both of those. I just came back.
Do you pick up good things for like, best practices for like small things?
One year they had something for small cities. Yeah, I decided to go to the small city. And I was like so excited because this last one was like, I'm going to the small city.
And they didn't get.
Nah. And then they had another one where the title said like small city something. And I walk in and this is the biggest room they got. This is what I'm.
It's hot in that room. I was sweating.
And I was sitting there talking and then like the present their city.
So there must be some truth to it.
We'll call the meeting to order at 7:27 PM, back to order. And we do not have any action items from our executive session unless anyone has any comments, we'll adjourn the meeting. Adjourn at 7:27.